Welcome, everybody, to Come Back to Love. I'm Robin Vogel, and we are on Dream Visions 7 Radio. Welcome to the listeners out there that are brand new. Welcome to those of you that have been listening every week. I'm so grateful to have you part of my community. Come Back to Love Radio is a place where we explore the journey of healing, connection, and transformation in love and relationships. I'm your host, Robin Vogel, a love and intimacy coach, internal family systems therapist, and the creator of Heal Your Heart, my 6-month immersion program. Join me and my guests as we share stories, tools, and insights to help you rewrite your love story, whether it's about overcoming heartbreak, unraveling old patterns, or reigniting the spark in your current relationship. You are in the right place. Together, we'll explore how love begins within and expands outward to create meaningful, fulfilling connections with others and with yourself. You can tune in to Come Back to Love every Thursday at 1 a.m. and 1 p.m. Eastern on Dream Vision 7 Radio Network. Listen online on your mobile device, in your car, while you're going for a walk, or simply ask Alexa to play Dream Vision 7 Radio. In each episode, I welcome incredible guests who bring their unique perspective and expertise to help us dive into topics like self-compassion, healing childhood wounds, and creating the love we desire and deserve. Today, I am thrilled to be joined by a special guest, Junie Moon. Junie is a spiritual love mentor, best-selling author, and certified shadow work coach. She's worked with and supported thousands of women over the past 30 years to claim what is their birthright, the freedom to be and love themselves without apology. When women experience this freedom, they attract lifelong, next-level love and an extraordinary second half of life. Junie is dedicated to guiding women in midlife on a transformative journey towards self-discovery and empowerment. Through heart-centered coaching, she helps her clients cultivate a deep sense of self-love and confidence. Her approach goes beyond traditional dating advice, focusing instead on inner alignment and personal growth. By embracing this precious stage of life that we are both in, with confidence and authenticity, women discover a newfound sense of empowerment and magnetize their ideal partner with ease. Junie's mission is to help women to experience next level love by first nurturing the love within themselves. Well, we are so totally aligned, which is why I'm so happy to have you as my guest today, Junie. Thank you
Yay.
so much for being here.
Oh, I'm so happy to be here. And yes, we are so aligned, and I absolutely love what you're up to in the world.
Same, same, and same. So I think our listeners are in for a real treat today. And I actually am going to dive right in because before we came on here live, I asked you what you've been doing, and you told me about this beautiful vacation you just took in Mexico, one of my favorite places, with your next level love partner. And the way you described the relationship just, whoo, it just blew open my heart. And and then you said something incredible. You said, and you can say it in your own words, but just
Uh-huh.
to hear that, when we do this work, we need to walk our talk. I mean, if we're really doing, the divine work in the world, we're walking our talk. And I heard you say that the work you've been doing with lots of other people, you also are doing with yourself. And lo and behold, you created this love in your life for
It
yourself
works.
and with a partner. It works. So tell us all about it. Give us the juicy stuff. We're all on the edge of our seats now listening.
Yeah, yeah. Well, thank you. Yeah. What a great way to start, which is about love and next level. I think I might need to change the wording to next level.
I love it.
Because seriously, I really had no idea it could be this good. I mean, seriously, as much as I truly believed in my heart and soul that my person was out there, as much as I truly believed that I could have great love, like really knew that. I also wasn't settling. I was also walking my talk, no doubt, doing the inner work, because frankly, it's all about the inner work. The dating, you can know all the strategies. I know all the strategies. I help people with the strategies. And at the end of the day, it's the cart before the horse. And yet I met him online. However, I'm blown away. I truly am blown away. I have met my soulmate, and it's almost a little like embarrassing. I'm going to be like totally transparent and honest here. It's like there was a part of me that thought I met my soulmate years ago.
Mm.
I had next level love. I based my work on a relationship that I had years ago. It's a long story. Long story short, circumstances got in our way, and he's also not on our planet anymore. There were a lot of things that happened. And I look back and throughout my work saying, that was next level love. That was my soulmate. Is it possible that I can have another soulmate? Is it possible that I can have that depth of love? And I love you, Greg. I'll always love you. And with that said, this man blows me away. And yeah, checked the boxes. And as we laugh continually, as we shake our heads, kind of going on a regular basis, how can this be? We both say the bonuses beyond our check boxes. It's spectacular. So I'm thrilled because I have this soulmate attraction system that I've been teaching, that I've seen my clients do such great manifesting. And I just kept working it in my time, in my way. And I'm just, yeah, I'm thrilled. Yeah. Happy, happy.
Wow. So first of all, I just want to remind both of us that we have a very similar life journey when it comes to love. And I think we've talked about this in the past. Um, but so first of all, I can totally relate, and I'm sure many of our listeners can as well, of the experience of, oh, I met my soulmate. Oh no, I didn't. And for me, I also, and but I'm saying I want to say three things all at the same time.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
One is just to acknowledge that that experience is so common, right? That people are like, "Oh, this is it. This is my soulmate. This is the one I'm
Yeah.
going to fill in the blank. Maybe it's spend the rest of your life with, or get married to, or have as a primary partner, whatever it is."
Yeah.
Only to find in whatever amount of time that that actually is not the case. For me, I also had that experience with a partner, and he's not on the planet anymore. So that's the experience that I'm remembering that we
Mm,
both have had.
mm.
Um, and it also reminds me that, next level love, I love that language actually, because each time it's a next level love. Like my partner,
Yes.
the one that I just mentioned who left the planet in 2008, that was a next level love for me.
Yes.
And
Yes.
the partner I had in 2018 was a next level love. And the partner I had a couple of, whatever, whenever it was, that also was a next level love. And that's a really beautiful experience. And also, I guess it's also an invitation for people to remember that it's not a failed experience. It's actually a next level love. It's another step on the journey, the evolutionary journey.
Oh my God, so well said. And I'm going to just say also that I think we get stuck with words and beliefs. I mean, that's so much
Yeah,
of my work is letting go of the beliefs and breaking through the shadows to really understand who we are. I
right.
think this concept of soulmate, I think we've gotten attached to what we think it means, and if there was only one. I just invite everybody to just kind of expand their what's possible when it comes to love and just be outside of the box. Soulmate, no soulmate. It just keep going and knowing who you are, getting so deeply connected to your inner soulmate, which is really what I am about. Like, know who you are, do not settle, get that alignment because that's when we're vibing, we're vibing and that energy is out there and we pull in and attract the person that's going to match us at this level where we are now, which is the next level because we're just constantly evolving. So yeah, there's a lot of love out there, and when we've had loss, there's something to be said about the grieving, the letting go, the honoring. We don't have to worry about replacing them. That's the other thing. A lot of people struggle with unconsciously a lot of the times of not wanting to let go of that person that they love so much, which keeps them from really opening to their next partner. So there's so many nuances here. And I think the only thing not the only thing, but one thing I really want to just really underline is it just to stay open and to if there's even the tiniest bit inside of you whoever's listening, watching, that yearns or desires to have a next level of partner or somebody to share your life with, that you really truly can have that. Just keep going and just keep doing the inner work and keep showing up and loving your life, because when you're loving your life, magic happens, whether they come tomorrow or 5 years from now. It's an amazing journey.
Yeah, it really is. Thank you for that. Let's talk
Yeah.
about, those pieces around, love your life, love yourself. I mean, yes, yes, and yes, and yet, and
Yes,
yes.
yes, and yet.
Yes, yes, and yet.
Yeah.
There are people listening saying like, but like I don't feel that way.
Yeah.
This is going on in the world and that's going on in my world. And this
Mm,
just happened and my kids are struggling.
yeah.
We're talking a little bit about second half of life because that's your audience and mostly mine
Hmm.
too. And sometimes it's just not the case. So I don't know. Do you want to speak to that or have an
Yeah, I think that's a really good piece, because I think a lot of times we listen to podcasts and go, or listen to, people, and it's like, oh well, hey, oh, just and just think the best, positive thinking, get back out there, like all that stuff. And it's not wrong, it's not bad. It's just sometimes it's not really honoring and, just really connecting to the reality that some people are living in. And midlife comes with some different pieces to the puzzle than when we were in our 20s and 30s. I mean, we have some of us have elderly parents, some of us have lost a spouse, or a partner or a child. I mean, there's so many things, or trying to get the kids launched or careers. I mean, you name it. Life is in session. And so there is a big piece of not now, not yet, because I have too much going on. This can't happen for me, or I'm not in a good place for love because of all these things. And sometimes it's not a great time. Maybe we need to really look at our energy and our bandwidth. However, because I'm a shadow worker, what I know is there's a lot of unconscious programming going on in the background that's trying to keep us safe and trying to keep us from getting hurt again. Because we've lived, we've had our hearts broken. And so it's a really perfect thing for the unconscious realm to kind of send messages and sabotage you by saying, "Oh, you're just too busy right now," or it's just not a good time. There's never a perfect time. I mean, there are times that are really challenging, and there's there's something I call witness conscious, or being able to kind of separate yourself from what's really going on and just kind of being very objective about your life and kind of going, yeah, there's a lot going on here, this, and this, and this. And I still can have great love. I still can open and enjoy the journey. You can have great sorrow and great joy at the same time. And that's a concept that most people don't understand, because most of us haven't experienced it, or have been led to even know that it can be where we can hold both. And so to honor where everybody's at, to honor the challenges and also the openness and the this would be really nice if I could have this too, and to lean into it. I always, when I talk to my clients, I say it's sort of like being the eye of the hurricane. Like in the eye of the hurricane, it's really still, the sun's shining. I've never been in the eye of a hurricane, but I've heard it's like nothing's going on. But
Yeah.
meanwhile, there's a lot going on. And if we could just find that still point, or that place of soul connection, of desire, of deserving, of all the stuff that we're talking about, knowing that there's still a lot of life going on, that we can do both. And sometimes, a lot of times, we need support from people like us to help people with those next steps, because it can seem so overwhelming and challenging, especially if people are sabotaging themselves in order to just get by, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. I love you said so many important, rich things there. One of the pieces that stands out is that we have the capacity to hold all of it and to hold
Yeah.
grief at the same time as gratitude or grief at the same time as joy and pleasure. And
Yeah.
it took me a while to get that. I'm someone who had a lot of loss very early in my life, and it wasn't until I remember actually being in my 30s after my second parent had passed and just, just having so much grief and devastation in my body and my being. And I was at Kripalu and I was taking like workshop after workshop after workshop to be with myself and to heal. And that was the biggest piece that came out. It was like, oh, I can hold if I can, and I know I can. I just needed to sort of expand my awareness and
Yeah.
my confidence and know that I could hold more than just the grief and that it was okay to do that.
Yeah.
And even though I'm talking about grief, it's also true about, holding anxiety or holding fear. The things that are going on in our world right now are bringing some people to a place of fear and anxiety. And like, we don't want, like you said, that to stop us from thriving in life. And and so I really appreciate that invitation for all of us to remember that we can hold
Yeah.
a lot more than we even think we can.
And in this time and the craziness that's going on, we need more love in this world more
Yes.
than ever. And if we're bringing anxiety, or if we're bringing our fear and our hatred and all the human emotions that are a little out of control right now, it's more fuel to the fire. How can we keep our hearts in check? How can we put the oxygen mask on and really take good care of ourselves and connect to that soulful, loving place and show up to the adversity with that energy? What a difference the world would be with that versus what we're seeing. Because fear is going to take us out. Fear is going to limit us. Fear is going to have us make decisions with every aspect of our life from a place of scarcity or limitation or challenge versus more of that expansive awareness, as you were saying, more of that what's possible. And again, to be gentle with ourselves along the way because we are human and these emotions are totally valid and they can inform us what's the next step that we can take. Because if we're scared of starting a relationship or going more deeply into a partnership, what's that about? Most likely, it's not about the person in front of you. I mean, granted, they're contributing in some way, but it's usually historical. What are you bringing to the table? What have you learned about love? What are you experiencing from that person that's triggering or pulling up some woo, this is not okay. And so that's why I always say we need to do the shadow work. We need to go within to really get clear and clear out the stuff that is going to have us not see our true reality. Because you could have your soulmate, you could have an amazing person in your life and not be able to see them. I have a client, real quick story. I have a client came to this thought came to my mind just a few days ago
Mm,
about the soulmate can be in front of you and you may not be able to see them. This client came to me. She was on the rocks with somebody. She had been in a relationship for a couple of years. Great guy, but there were certain issues and something really came up for her. We did this shadow work process to get her through to the clarity and the anger and all the stuff she had to go through. And when she got to the other side of it, she saw it was all about her mom. It was all about her ex-husband. It had nothing to do with this person. But because of how this person showed up, she went right back into the history. And when she was able to clear that, she saw this person so differently. And it's been a few years now. They are like so madly in love. This was her soulmate, but she almost left because all the old stuff was having her see a lot of stuff from her past. Ultimately, that part trying to keep her safe. So it's good that we're trying to stay safe, and it's a part we need to some extent, but it overshoots and it really limits us.
yeah, beautiful. I love that example. Thank you for sharing that with us. I want to talk about shadow work. We're going to take a quick commercial break first and come right back to it. We'll be right back, everybody. Welcome back to Come Back to Love Radio. I'm here today with Junie Moon, and we are about to dive into another of my favorite topics and modalities, shadow work. Um, it's language people know, perhaps, but it actually has a very specific definition. And I think you studied the lineage that I'm also connected with. And so can you start? at the beginning, like, what does that mean? What do those words mean, shadow work or that word?
Yeah, I'm happy to see it more and more out in the world, and people are dropping that word or those words, shadow work. Yeah, I studied with shadow work seminars with Cliff Barry, Mary Ellen Wallen, and Cliff Barry being the founder of it. He was my trainer, and it's based on the concept of Jung. The Jungian term shadow. The disowned part of who we are, the part of us that we have shame around or we want to hide. And so shadow work in the way that I was trained as a coach and a facilitator, group facilitator, helps people shine a light on the conditioning that we all have, the beliefs, the experiences, everything that we've accumulated since our first breath that has given us some beliefs that just are just working against us and may or may not be true. I mean, sometimes they are, but a lot of times the shadow, it's like it's running against us and it's behind us, and the neuroscience now is totally supporting all of this, saying 99.9% of our well, not 99%, but like 95% of our brain is
Oh,
unconscious. 95% of our brain is where the programming is. I was thinking about quantum before the 99%, but that's another topic. So if 95% of our brain is unconscious, where all of our beliefs are stored, all of our experiences are stored, and we say, I want to have a magnificent, deep, soulful, intimate, next level love life. And you look in the mirror and you go, I'm beautiful. I can have it all. And you're feeling great and intellectual. You're thinking all these wonderful things. But if in the background you picked up some beliefs because of your history saying, yeah, you're too old. Who's going to want you now? Look at your boobs. They're not as perky as they used to be. Your bank account, your body's changed, or there aren't any good guys left or good partners left. I mean, there's all these beliefs that we've picked up along the way because of social media, how we're supposed to look, how we're supposed to act, and then all of our experiences that had us thinking we're good at relationships or not good at relationships. Whatever it is, we've all had these experiences. So shadow work helps people bring out of shadow, shines a light on the stuff that's sabotaging you, the stuff that has you playing small or doubting what's possible or being able to be confident and open and vulnerable. Because when it comes to love, we need to be able to share our hearts, intimacy. We need to be able to let somebody in. And so shadow work is this brilliant process that I learned deep into my marriage. I wish it was sooner in my marriage, but I had to hit 200 pounds and walk on eggshells for many, many years to realize that something was off. And I thought it was a food problem, but it was a self-esteem problem and a conditioning problem. So in the early 2000s, I learned this. I broke through the limiting beliefs. I still have some. We all do. I'm not on the top of the mountain. I'm still learning and growing. With that said, by doing this type of work, I was able to see those shadowy, shameful places and was able to just release them and own truly in my bones my value, my worth, uh, my vulnerability. My God, I was so shut down. My voice. That's what shadow work offers us, the ability to really reclaim all of who we are. And like in my bio says, unapologetically, like to really own who we are. And when we are that aligned, that's when we call in amazing partners.
wow. Thank you. Yeah, it's so while you were talking, I was thinking about the internal family systems model, which is, just a variation. There's all
Oh, there's
different,
big overlap, big
yeah,
overlap.
huge overlap. And I did a lot of shadow work in my 30s, which is 20 years ago, and healed huge pieces of my past that I have wasn't even close to touching in talk therapy. I mean, at
Oh,
all.
yeah,
I mean, it
yeah,
just doesn't hold a candle to the kind
yeah.
of the depth of the work you can do in a shadow work session is above and beyond. And I had a real mystical experience where actually the energy of my mother came through a woman who was channeling her. And
Mm.
that was my first, I have the chills. Oh,
I know. I got the chills too. Oh my God.
that was my first shadow work session when I was doing the
Mm.
centerpiece in a program, a priestess path apprenticeship program that I was in for a couple of years. And the woman who was supporting me, two of the women who were supporting me, but one of them ended up feeling like the energy of my mother who had passed, 20 years prior. Um, Came through. And so I was able to do this like incredible piece of shadow work of looking at my own loyalties to her and the beliefs that came out of that experience of losing my mother so young and the things
Yeah.
that I decided were true about myself and the ways that I was protecting myself from relationship, from intimacy, from letting anybody see into me you
Yeah.
see. And that shadow work session, that it blew everything. It blew my mind. It blew my heart. Wow. I think
Oh
I
my gosh.
couldn't walk for like a week after that. I was like, just holy
It's
shit.
huge.
It was
It's
huge.
huge. And this is another overlap, because I lost my dad. I know that we talked about this the first time we chatted.
Mhm.
I lost my dad when I was 14.
Mhm.
And I remember similarly this huge shadow work process because so much was set up from the loss of my dad when it came to relationships, about what I thought about men, how I felt like I needed my dad. I needed that masculine to take care of me. I couldn't do it on my own, terrified of being alone. Like these were all the things I brought into my marriage. No wonder I was walking on eggshells. No wonder I wasn't able to really share. I was afraid of being alone and rocking the boat and feeling like I needed him so much. And I did that one process with, actually Cliff ended up playing my dad. Yeah, and I remember, like, I was like, he was facilitating me and I'm like, would you play my dad? And he said yes. And it was so cathartic, and being able to get to the other side of releasing my dad in one way, honoring my dad, staying connected with my dad, and then being able to go into a different place in relationship with men separate from my dad. I didn't realize so much of my conditioning was because my dad left me, the
Mm,
beliefs I took on
yes.
because my dad left me, the
Yeah.
betrayal I felt because my dad left me. And that
Yes.
set me up for so many crazy relationships after. But then, hello, I deserve a partner. I deserve somebody but more than anything, I also came to, I'm okay alone. I am good alone. I don't need a man to keep me safe. It's nice to have the perks. I love it. And at the end of the day, I was able to do that work to really shift it, which completely changed the trajectory of my relationships and that first soulmate uh, relationship that came soon after that I
Mhm.
shared about earlier.
Yeah,
Yeah. Lucky
absolutely.
us.
Yes,
Lucky us.
lucky us. I know. It's really hard I'm just reflecting back on, the now I'm aware of the beliefs that came out of that experience of the betrayal of, for me, my mother, and actually my father died when I was 30. So a little bit also early in my life,
Yeah.
before marriage, not before marriage, but before kids and everything. But the early, those formative years, like 14, 10, when we both had losses, it it took years to put my finger on the beliefs that were running, like you are talking about, in shadow
Yeah.
underneath the surface. And I want to say to our listeners that there could very well be shadow beliefs running underneath in the undercurrent that you might not regularly or so easily have access to.
Yeah.
I can say something about how you know that's happening, but I wonder what you would say. Because a lot of people ask me, like, well, how do I know I'm doing my language? I have uh, trauma bypass is some language that I use. Like, how do I know when I'm doing that? Or how do I know when I have something in shadow? Like,
Yeah. There's so much there. Okay.
yeah.
First, I want to like piggyback, and hopefully I'm sure I'll remember what you're saying, but just in case, piggyback on what you said earlier about therapy and this type of work. Therapy's great. I learned a lot of in therapy, and it didn't get underneath the surface with what you're talking about. I had a lot of data. I understood where I came from. However, underneath the surface were the shadowy blind spots that I just didn't know were there. Didn't know until I knew. And those blind spots are real. And having a shadow worker or another facilitator support you in a safe way to help you reveal these things, and it's just a whole different way of transforming.
Right.
I and I'm going to actually be bold in saying I truly believe we all have shadows. I believe we all have shit underneath the surface that
Yeah.
we don't see until it's revealed. So your question is, what does it look like? Well, there's a few things. Well, first of all, if there's charge, if you feel a charge, a reaction, not just a, oh, I don't like that, but it really gets under my skin. There's a saying, if it's hysterical, it's historical. If you
Mhm.
have a reaction, if there's something going on, and oh, I hate people like that, or that quality in somebody gets under my skin, or you're talking to somebody and you lose your ability to stay focused. I mean, there's something going on there. I would say there's a shadow lurking somewhere in the room, and you're in it, and you can't see beyond it. You need to step away.
Mhm.
So the best way I say to know if there's a shadow is that one piece is the trigger. If you're getting triggered, start noticing what are the things that trigger you. Everybody think right now in relationship, what are some of the things? What are some of the, when people do that, there's something to look at there because there's usually a shadow telling you that's bad. And if you're focusing on that's a bad way to be, and we're all doing a lot of that these days, a lot of finger pointing,
Yes.
there's something to look at within ourselves that's creating so much of that charge. There's a belief, there is some conditioning that is running in the background. So that's what I'll offer to this conversation. How about you? What do you offer in
Yeah.
reference to spotting it?
Yeah, absolutely. I would say a repetition of patterns. A lot of
Yeah.
people say, I dated this person, then I dated that person, and they're like doing the same things. They're acting in the same way. Or, I feel like I'm spinning on a hamster wheel. I keep meeting the wrong person. Or just these repetition of patterns for me absolutely point to something underneath the surface that hasn't been revealed yet.
Oh
And
my God, 100%,
yeah,
100%, 100%. Because
yeah,
ultimately, like, why does that keep happening?
right.
It's crazy. It's like, well, I know that I don't like that, but here I am again. So round
Exactly.
and round we go
Right.
until we figure out what it is. So I agree,
Yes.
100%.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. And another thing that you might add to that is like, I said I'd never end up in this situation and you're in it, or I said I'd never
Right.
happen again and it happens again.
And
So
that's when we need to have so much love and compassion for ourselves. Because
hmm,
so often, insult to injury, it's like, oh my God, I was so stupid. What an idiot. I stayed too long again. I picked the same person again. I'm still in the situation again. And then we start to beat ourselves up. And I truly believe when we can take the shame off and go, okay, I've done the best I could with what I've known. That's why my book is called Loving the Whole Package, loving all of who you are,
yeah.
shadow and light, and to shed the shame so that you can truly have that alignment. Yeah, to be gentle with ourselves. I mean, we see our friends that do things and we're like, oh my God, they're doing the same thing over and over, but we're not going to rake them over the coals. We're going to, like, hopefully with love and maybe some fierce love, say, maybe are you open to something? Because I'm noticing something like sitting in the fire with some friends. Can we do that for ourselves? But we don't
Yeah,
until we know how to take
that's
care of
right.
ourselves. Yeah.
That's right. That's right. All right, we're going to go to a quick commercial break and come back with some more juiciness. Welcome back to Come Back to Love Radio. I'm Robin Vogel, your host, and I am here today with the fabulous Junie Moon. We are having such an amazing conversation. I am so curious. You mentioned it in the beginning of our conversation about the work that you're doing. It had a beautiful name, catchphrase that I am not remembering fully right now, but I know the word soulmate was there. Yeah, I would personally love to hear what you used, you said, to attract and connect with your partner. And I know you also do that work with hundreds of other people. So, yeah,
Yeah, yeah, thank you. Well, I'm
yeah.
calling it my soulmate attraction system. Woohoo! Nothing like titling something, right?
SAS.
Yes, yes. I mean, let me say that it breaks my heart when so many stories, oh, so many people come to me and they tell me their disaster stories with dating, disaster stories with the conversations or being online. And look, we're over 50, most of us, and we know the preciousness of our time and our life. We've built great lives. We've had so many successes. And the last thing we want to do is waste more time and certainly be in a relationship that's not going to, float our boat. So a lot of women, a lot of people primarily work with women, but I work with men too, but primarily work with women. They come to me and they're just so
Mm,
disenchanted with the whole dating thing and they want to give up or they hate online dating. And it's the cart before the horse. I think I said that earlier. You could have the best dating strategies, and there are great strategies. And I've helped people streamline the whole dating thing to get amazing dates, but there's something that has to happen first. So, what I say is, we'll get to the dating. Let's come home to you. Let's do the relationship blueprint exercise. There's a particular exercise I have that's a must to be able to get to know what is most important for you now. What do you hold in your value system now? And I'm not just talking about I value love and loyalty and humor, like all the list that everybody has with
mm,
people. It's like what brings you the most joy, and drill down. There's so many layers into who you really are and what kind of life you want to have your own relationship blueprint, and then how does a person fit into that? If you don't do that exercise in some way, how the heck are you going to write a profile? How are you going to be able to share who you truly are in words? I'm going to tell you my story in a minute. I know we only have
mm,
a few minutes, but it's a great
mm.
story.
Keep
So
going.
we need to know who you are first. We need to align you. We need to have you truly love yourself. And a lot of people say, I love myself. I love myself. And what's underneath the surface? What are you bringing? What's in the shadow bag, from the past of maybe you're not good enough, maybe you're not pretty enough, blah, blah, blah. So, the other piece of it in that first part of the soulmate attraction system is looking at the programming and moving through it and releasing it so you could truly know you're worthy of this next chapter, that you can truly have what you desire with or without a partner. Because frankly, it's great to have the icing on the cake, but you're the cake. Let's make sure the cake is really yummy. So you wake up every day and you're ecstatic, because that's what, yes, 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 ecstatic, right? So so that's part of it. Part of the system is unpacking and honoring the journey, and getting the wisdom from your past, releasing the attachment of it, releasing the emotions that kind of trip us up sometimes from the past, and just getting the wisdom from it, knowing who you are, honoring your heart, and then doing the dating very differently. So quick, did you want to ask anything or add anything before I tell you the quick story? Because I don't, I know I can like yap, yap, yap.
No, I'm so engrossed. Keep going. We've got time. Let's hear the story.
Okay. Yeah, it's such a great story. And it's my story. I mean, I usually tell client stories
Okay.
because I have so many great client stories. And with that said, this says it all. Okay. So I've been single, consciously single for a few years now, picking and choosing, going on a few dates here and there, but it just, nah, 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 nah. I'm like loving my life, loving my life. And then I was like, okay, I love my life. I really would love someone to share it with. I am ready. I am ready. Those words, I
Mm,
felt it. I was ready. It wasn't like, I really want to have somebody. It was like, I want, I desire, I'm ready. And so I went into my app, and I'm not going to tell you which one it is because it doesn't friggin' matter. There are some better than others, but it doesn't matter. There are great people everywhere. And I went
yes.
into my app. I got aligned. I lit the candle and I said, okay, I made a deal with myself. And I said, I have, well, this might give it away which site, but it doesn't matter. I had a rose. I get one rose a week. And I said, okay, I have one rose to give to one person. I am only going to give that rose to one person only if I am 100% sure that there's something in his profile that says he is from my planet, he is from my world.
Mm.
Didn't have to be perfect, didn't have to have a lot of stuff. There had to be something that said it's worth a conversation. And I wasn't going to swipe on anybody else. So there he was. And I was like, the first answer, got my attention. Second answer, ooh, really got my attention. Third answer, oh my God, he got the rose. The next day, I get the message from him, OMG, I cannot wait to speak to you. We have this in common, and this in common, and this in common, and this in common. And the rest is history. The rest is history. And what's really also cool about this is 24 hours before I sent that rose, he was not available. He was seeing somebody, he had seen somebody for a few weeks, and they had found that they were incompatible. And in that 24 hours, he went back online, and there I was. And as he says, he kept reading it with it's like, what? What? That's what we need to create. But we cannot create a profile like that. And I help people write great profiles. I truly, truly believe you can write a great profile, but is it you? Is it going to resonate? Is it really going to speak to the person? And that's what happens. And that's what happens with my clients all the time. When they've done the work, they've gone through the program, and then they're ready for the profile. If they choose to call in a person, it's just a different, whole other game. And it's a game that they enjoy playing because it works.
Wow. Beautiful. What a beautiful
Yeah.
story. What I love about it is the intention, the kind of the sacred energy that you brought.
Uh, yeah.
That's
Yeah.
just so important. And also how you used all of your senses. You didn't say this, but I know you were to kind of assess, is this person in my camp, part of my team? What was the word you used? In my world, on my planet. Um,
Yeah. Yeah. From my planet.
from
Yes,
my planet.
absolutely.
That, yeah, I mean that's we've all got our
And
planet.
not this planet. It's not
Yeah,
this
no,
planet.
not this planet, but just like,
My own personal planet. It's
yes,
like,
is this one of
will
my
we
people?
align?
Yes,
Yeah.
will we align?
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
deciding, okay, I'm going to give this rose. Now I know you weren't on The Bachelorette, but that's what I thought of. So let's let go of that. Um,
Well, hey. Yeah, and just yeah, showing up for yourself in a very different way. Yeah, I'm just so grateful. I'm so grateful that I kept believing in love for me because I will be honest with you. There were thoughts in my head that's like I've done so much work. I have accomplished so much. Who really am I going to match with? Truly, I was like, this is a quiet road at this point, and not as many men do the work as much as women, and that's just a fact too. More men are showing up, and I just was like, well, it might be a little more quiet on this road, but I felt him coming. I really did. So I'm just, yeah,
Beautiful.
yay. Totally
Beautiful.
divinely orchestrated. I truly believe totally divinely orchestrated.
Yes. Beautiful. You were both ready. Like you said, he wasn't, I want to add one piece before we go to another commercial break. You said it like he wasn't ready 24 hours before that. He was finishing something that he was trying
Yes.
out. And
Yeah.
sometimes people forget, we can forget that the other person is also needing to do whatever they're doing to get ready for you as you're
Yeah.
doing your own work, getting ready for yourself
Yeah.
and meeting a partner if that's what you choose. But that divine timing is it's a big piece of it, I think.
I
And
think so too. And surrendering to that
yeah.
and leaning in and trusting that this is all happening for us. That
Yeah.
in itself is a piece of work that I'm constantly working that muscle on to really surrender to. I'm not in control of this. I'm showing up because there's only so much I can make happen. And
Yes.
what an easier ride it is when I just take my hands off the wheel.
Yes. 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 You opened up a whole other topic, which we may or may not to go into today, but really important one.
Yeah.
Let's take a quick commercial break and we'll be right back. Welcome back to Come Back to Love Radio. I'm going to jump right back in. We've been talking about being in alignment with ourselves, divine timing bringing that person in. And during the commercial break, you started to say something really very important and poignant. So I'm just going to pass it right over to you.
Good, good, good. Because I think this is really important. I can't tell you, it's embarrassing on some level, but it's just like I'm vulnerable. I'm transparent. My friends on a regular basis in a couple of relationships I had in the past would say, "Oh my God, it sounds so exhausting. It sounds so hard." And they were right. I worked so hard to make that relationship work with all the tools and all the skills, and let's learn this and let's do this workshop. And ultimately, it was because we weren't a match. I tried to make us a match, but we weren't a match. We weren't aligned. And now being in this relationship, and it's not perfect. However, it's pretty darn perfect. It's crazy. It's easy. I mean, really, what would it be like to have ease and flow with someone? Because at the end of the day, life is challenging and relationships are challenging. There are schedules. He lives an hour and a half to 2 hours away, depending on traffic, and organizing our schedule. And he's got a kid still and work. I mean, life, elderly parents. I mean, relationships are a living being. They're a living entity and having the right person. So I just say now that I'm on the other side of it, like truly on the other side of it and feeling it, I just put a stake in the ground for every single person to really say, this is my person or this is not my person. And if you're questioning, sure, give it a couple of dates. But after a while, it's like, move on because it can be so easy and beautiful and soulful and amazing. And now I can really say that with every ounce of my being. I've heard it with my clients. Now I can say it.
Yeah, yeah, that ease is not to be
Ah,
disregarded or
ah,
unrecognized.
flow,
Right.
beauty, ah,
Exactly. Yeah.
hysterical, laughter, crazy.
Yes. Well, I know you have a special guest for our listeners, a special, did I say guest? Gift for our listeners. And I would love to for you to share what that is.
Yeah, well, maybe their lover will be their guest.
Yes.
I have a 2-minute quiz that I worked on and have an amazing report that comes with it. It's called Discover Your Love Avatar and How Relationship Ready Are You? Through a very short quiz, you will answer some quick questions that will discern what your superpower is as your love avatar. Like, what are you bringing to the table that rocks? And where there are some challenges, what are some of the shadowy things that you need to pay attention to? Otherwise, it's going to be hard. It's going to be exhausting. And maybe you need to do some work around that before you put yourself out there. So it's going to spit out 3 different archetypes. Everybody has a superpower and everybody has some wiggle room to grow. And it's a full report that you get when you complete the quiz, and it's fun. And it's like a pretty extensive report too that really gives you some really solid information about who you are and how to really call in next level love for you.
That's so important because we have to be able to see ourselves, like you said, the shadow, the light, all of it, so that we actually can take the steps that we desire in
Yeah.
order to have
Yeah.
and create what we want in our lives. So beautiful. I'm so happy.
Yeah.
Can't wait to take the quiz myself, learn something new.
Yay. Thank you. Let me know how it goes for you.
I will. Thank you so much, Junie. It's been such a pleasure. I'm so delighted I'm so delighted to have this conversation with you. I'm delighted about all the synchronicities and all the ways that
Mhm.
our work resonates and reverberate and reflect back to each other and out into the world. And I'm just encouraging my guests to find that quiz. You will find it on the Dream Vision 7 radio page. There'll be a link to it so you can easily connect with Junie, learn something about yourself, and find out about her soulmate and your soulmate attraction system, which, as you said, works. So it's beautiful. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you. This was lovely.
Yeah, it's been great. I'm wishing everybody a beautiful day and look forward to seeing you next week, Thursday, 1 a.m. and 1 p.m. live on Dream Vision 7 Radio. Mwah. Blessings, everybody.